Good morning, everyone. My name is James Burk. I'm the Executive Director of the Mars Society. I was part of the Mars Society back in 1998 when we started, and I volunteered for about 20 years. I was part of the Seattle chapter. I was the head of IT for a while, and 4 years ago, we got a big donation from Blue Origin's Club for the Future, and we opened up the executive director position to be full-time, and I applied, and so did like 40 other people. And they picked me, and I was very thankful and grateful for that. And every morning I get up and I try to figure out how we're gonna settle Mars. I'm here today at the Analog Astronaut Conference to talk about our two analog research stations. I'm really grateful to be here. I think this is a fantastic community, and I'm just proud that we're part of it. And I invite all of you to be part of our station programs. I mean, these are your programs as well as ours. You make these happen. And I want to start with our flagship, which is the Mars Desert Research Station in Utah. It's in southern Utah near Hanksville. We built this in 2002. So this is our 24th field season. We have crew 315 in sim right now. And I look at this program as a platform for science. It's an open platform for science. Anybody can come to our station. When you get there on a crew, we have everything ready for you to do whatever you want to do, whatever your field is. We've had folks doing all kinds of geology work out there. We've had folks doing wilderness medicine, all kinds of microbiology, and just whatever, you name it, we've had crews doing it out there in the last 24 years. And so you're all invited to come be on a crew. All you have to do is apply on our website. And actually, we are running a capital campaign right now. We're running a fundraiser for the station. And so you can actually jump the line if you pledge on this capital campaign and get on a crew this month if you want to. So this is our website, mdrs.marssociety.org. You can get to it with just marssociety.org. It's at the top. But I also encourage you all, we have a level called Friends of MDRS on here. And we're gonna do a lot with that Friends of MDRS community in the future. We're gonna offer those folks opportunities, things that the general public isn't gonna get offered. We're gonna have news updates. We're gonna do different types of science opportunities as well as we level up and grow out our capabilities across the Mars Society and across the Mars Technology Institute, which I'll talk about in a second. So I encourage you all not only to apply to MDRS, but also pledge as a friend of MDRS. We're gonna put up a new donor plaque for everyone that pledges on that level as well. We got this whole area of research started back in the year 2000 and 2001 when we built the Flashline Mars Arctic Research Station up on Devon Island in Canada. And we had about a 7-year hiatus recently where we weren't going up there, but 3 years ago we reactivated the station with a crew comprised of 5 people, including Terry Trevino, who was here a couple times at this conference talking about that mission. And then we went back last year, and then now this year we actually are gonna send 3 different crew segments. So I'm very proud to say that both of our stations are fully up and running. They're in the best condition they've ever been, and they're open for science. And again, you guys are all invited to come to the Arctic as well. It's a little bit of a higher price tag than MDRS for obvious reasons, but it's an incredible once-in-a-lifetime experience if you can make that happen. We have, as I mentioned, 3 crews going up this summer, and we plan to go up every summer. We usually operate up there from usually the month of July, a little bit into August. But it's a truly unique environment. It's Houghton Crater, which is one of the best impact craters on Earth for science, and it's just a pristine environment. We also, across the Mars Society, we have chapters in 45 countries. Here in the US, we're up to 30 chapters, and we hope to be up to 50 chapters by the end of next year. But we are also working with our chapters across the world internationally to set up additional analogs. The one that has gotten a lot of news recently is Mongolia. We've been working very closely with the Mars V organization, which now is the official space agency of Mongolia. They came to our conference at Arizona State 3 years ago and announced this project, and they've now gotten funding from the government. They actually came on a visit with the president of Mongolia and met with Kamala Harris, who was our vice president at the time. Talked about the Mars Society a little bit in that meeting, also met with NASA senior leadership about the project. And so they're currently in development on that station. They're hoping to have the first crew later this year, and I've actually been invited to be on that crew. So I'm really excited about their progress. We also are working with friends of ours at the European Space Agency to open up Analog at Kourou in French Guiana, which is the launch site for the European Space Agency. We're working with folks locally there, such as the mayor of Kourou, to develop this project, and we hope in the next couple years that that comes to fruition. We also have a chapter in Australia that's developing an analog. Aspirationally, we have many other chapters that would like to develop analogs, such as Egypt, Kenya, Ghana, the list goes on. And we're working with folks as we can to help them with those projects. So what have we learned doing this for 24 plus years, 25 years, I guess, if you include the Arctic season in 2001. So we've learned that, we have a lot to learn still to live on Mars, but we have learned that human factors are the biggest operational challenge. And we're trying to live on Mars, we're trying to explore Mars. We have a little bit of a different philosophy at MDRS than the other analogs because of where we are in this pristine Mars analog environment. We really encourage exploration for the crews. We don't want the crews to just sit in the hab for 2 weeks. We don't really like isolation. Some of the other habitats that have isolation type experiments, in our opinion, we don't think people are going to live on Mars that way. We think people are going to be exploring and going out and trying to look for fossils, look for life. And so that's what we mimic at MDRS. We mimic going out and doing EVAs and exploring the area and trying to get work done out there. It's a harsh environment, so it's a great place to test ruggedized equipment. And there's long-running studies we've done on extremophiles and desert varnish out there. But as I mentioned before, it's really an open book. You can bring whatever science experiments you want to do when you have a crew. I should mention we've been for several years trying to develop a journal of analog research. We've been a little slow on it. We are, however, getting some traction with Purdue University, and we're about to announce that we're going to partner with Purdue University and their Journal of Human Performance in Extreme Environments to do a special issue for space analog research. So we hope this is complementary to what the AAC team is doing with their journal, and we are discussing with them how not to compete with each other. But and I think it's just good for the community for there to be lots of options for people to publish. There may be areas of research that don't fit into this journal that would fit better into the AAC journal, for example. But we are hardcore about wanting to have more opportunities for people to publish in this field. And so we are going to launch that journal, and then we're also going to participate in the AAC journal project, as well as we currently participate in WBA and the standards project that the AAC team is doing. And then up at Flashline, some of the things we've learned, as I mentioned, Houghton Crater is just a great analog environment for science. There's so many different areas of science. You could do cutting edge work there. It's a great place for radio astronomy. That has been untapped up there in Houghton. Nobody's done that yet, to my knowledge. And climate change research would be another one that would be good to do up in Flashline, because the Arctic, there's a lot of opportunities for that environment to look at things like the air quality and on a global scale. So those are our two analog stations. We do a few other things at the Society as well that I want to mention. The Society is about 2,000 people, paid members worldwide, and a larger group of our social media network of about 100K if you add up all of our different social media followers. And an event coming up is the University Rover Challenge in Utah. That's where we have university teams working throughout the year to develop rovers that they come and compete in Utah. We have usually about 36 teams from around the world. And so it's great because we have about 400 people come to Hanksville, which is population about 100. So we kind of overwhelm the town, but they like it because they make a little bit of tourist money there. So that's coming up. That's always a fun event to go to, and anyone's welcome to attend that event just to view it. We have an ambassador program that's kind of like the NASA Solar System ambassador program. We want to tap people that can speak to Mars and their communities. So we're up to over 50 ambassadors now across the world. And then we have several education programs. We have a summer STEM camp that we're gonna do for the 3rd year in a row this summer that we've announced. And so that's great for kids ages 13 to 19, where they're gonna design a Mars base, a Mars mission, and compete with each other and debate each other. And we've had one kid that went through that a couple years ago. He got a full ride to Harvard. He got offered full rides to Harvard, Princeton, and Yale because he wrote a paper about how he won the Mars Society's summer design contest. And it's been a really positive experience for a lot of kids. So we want to lean into that more and grow that program. We also have aspirations to develop a high school rover competition that would complement our university level competition. And Kai Stats has been asking me for about a year to see if we can host something at the Sam Mars Yard, and so we think maybe that program would be a good one to do there. Sorry. I want to talk a little bit about the Mars Technology Institute, an initiative that we started last year. We raised $100,000 through a crowdfunding campaign to get this started. And the idea is that we're going to incubate and accelerate companies that can help us settle Mars. Companies that can develop technologies and breakthroughs that can be commercialized here on Earth, but that also will help us towards settling Mars. So if you think about the universe of things we need as we work on the surface of the Moon and Mars, all that hardware, habitats, equipment people are going to be using, a lot of that hasn't been developed yet. A lot of that hasn't been manufactured yet or even designed yet. I mean, there's a lot of people working on it, but they're not working on everything. And so we did a comprehensive exercise where we looked at the universe of what we could do, and we settled in on 4 areas that we would like to work in the Mars Technology Institute. And those are biotech, AI, robotics, and energy. And this slide breaks down all the different sub areas that we see are within those. So we are working to help others start companies that can do all of this, and as well as on our own, on a small scale, incubating companies to do this. We have an AI project currently. We've been at it for about a year. I'll be honest, it's been difficult. We worked on a VR project for 7 years, and it's a very similar experience. You know, I'm a software guy. I worked at Microsoft for 20 years. Developing on AI is challenging because it's a moving target. You can write some code on top of something and then the thing underneath you goes away or changes so much that your code doesn't work. So we've been working on an idea, concept there. It still needs a little bit of time. But we're out there looking for investment money to keep going on that. But we also want others to plug into these different areas. We have a contest going on right now called Mars Against Hunger. It's wrapping up in June, so I'm really looking forward to seeing some of the results of that contest, because food is the #1 showstopper for settling Mars. Food is going to be a challenge when you have large settlements on Mars. You can't bring everything from Earth to feed a population of hundreds. You need to be growing and developing food there on Mars indigenously. So that's going to require big breakthroughs and advances in efficiency. The most productive way to grow corn, for example, is only 0.2% efficient on an acre of land. So we have to do things like urban farming and cutting edge ideas. Like one idea we had was taking methanol, reacting it with a yeast to create protein, which then we could feed to fish, and then maybe the humans would eat the fish. But we open this up to the community to get other ideas, and we hope to see some great examples to that contest. It's a $10,000 cash prize, and then we hope to help that winning team or teams form an actual company to go do this. But that's just one example. There's a whole roadmap here of things we hope to do. And so, the sky's the limit here. Like there's so many, hab automation is one thing that I'm also interested in. And, I've talked to Kai about the CIMOC system. We are going to get a CIMOC sensor array as part of WBA, and I'm excited about getting that installed and collecting data. But that's just going to be the start. There's so many things we also need to do, working with a smart grid so that we're detecting the load we're putting on the power system we have on Mars. That's going to be an important thing, for example, and that's a whole industry that's nascent right now that folks could start a company in easily. All right. I mentioned the VR project. This is an example of us, working diligently over the last 7 years to build a digital twin of the MDRS campus. I kind of consider this project done now. We have it online at marsvr.com. We give this away. It's an app you can download for most major headsets. We also have a version that's on the browser, so you can actually pull it up on your phone and look at and walk around campus. The VR version, the fully immersive version, though, that works in a headset, we have all kinds of crew training and being able to drive a rover and things like that in there as well. We initially started this project to try to create museum-style displays and also things that we could show at our conference and different events. And so we're still going to continue working on that. So I talked about this a little bit last year at AAC. I gave a little bit of a demo for this. I just wanted to mention it really briefly. And then the last thing I'll say on MTI is we are developing a tier 2 program for companies that can align with MTI. We want to have companies and startups start out as a tier 2 and then upgrade them into a tier 1 as we build out our incubator accelerator program. And so we'll have more details released on this later this year. But this is something that we feel like if we can be successful with this, it'll really help accelerate the day where we can get on Mars and have a permanent colony. So with that, I think the last thing I'll mention, it was timely to mention that the NASA science budget is under threat. One of the things about the Mars Society is we are defenders of science. Back when the Curiosity rover was in danger of being canceled, we rallied with other organizations and saved it. Robert Zubrin, our founder and president, spoke before a Congress about it. And so we're gearing up again. We're working with the Planetary Society on this science, Save NASA Science Budget campaign. And so I'm out there on social media talking about it. We encourage everybody to rally to, those of you that live in the US, email, write your congressman, tell them to save NASA science budget. It's a draconian proposal they have out there to cut everything by 50%. Those are the people we need to settle Mars that they're about to lay off. So we don't want that to happen. Just last week or so, the James Webb Space Telescope found biosignatures or possible signatures of photosynthesis on an exoplanet. We need to have follow-up observations of that. We need to have the Nancy Roman telescope, which can detect oxygen biosignatures. If these science cuts go through, they're probably going to cancel that mission. So it's time to rally and try to help NASA and our colleagues in the scientific community with that. So that's my last call to action today. I'll go ahead and open it up now for any questions you guys have. Thank you. Yes.
You talked about how one of the biggest issues with settling on Mars is food. So you discussed a little bit about like cultivating food as we are settled there. Do you know how that plan looks like for that first mission and actually being able, to sustain humans for that up to 2-year travel period?
I think for early missions, it's going to be analogous to what we do at MDRS, which is we have a mix of shelf-stable food, and then we grow some like salad greens and herbs in the greenhouse. And so the stuff in the greenhouse is not enough to feed the crew, so we have to supplement it with your typical shelf-stable food like pastas and rice and things that are freeze-dried. But many of our crews get really creative with that and do really well. But I think, the first few missions, you'll be sending a lot of the food from Earth, with the crew. But that's not enough to settle Mars. Like to settle Mars, we need to have indigenous sources of food. We need to dramatically scale up what we're able to do. And those breakthroughs still need to happen. That's what we're working on. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes?
So for the MTI program, you are facilitating that mentorship or incubation and getting them to incorporate and stuff, or are you looking for already Series A kind of
That's you're correct. We're looking to help companies get started at the very beginning of their life cycle. We do not have like billions of dollars in capital to fund companies at this time. We do have partners in the VC community that will look at pitches and maybe they'd be interested, but we're working in that very early part of the cycle where we're trying to incubate a team, get someone that's a PI that has a breakthrough and pair them up with some folks that can build a company around it, build products around it. And so we hope that our incubator accelerator program that I mentioned, that's tier 1, will help someone take an idea all the way up into a company that's Series A. Right now, we're working with folks that need help with investment materials, need help with marketing materials, and so we can provide that type of support to our partners. And there's no charge. We just want people to plug in and align with this roadmap, and then they can sign a little LOI with us, but there's no money involved. You're agreeing that you're aligning with our roadmap, and in return, we're allowing you to use the MTI branding.
And how much of proof of concept data do you need?
It's just a case-by-case thing. We have, just reach out to us, and we can talk about your idea. And if it's somewhere on the slide or tangential to this slide, then we're interested. So,
Thank you.
yeah, of course, go ahead.
Thank you for presentation. I'm Mike Aslanyan, the founder of Armenian Space Forum and director of Armash Research Center, Analog Research Center. We hosted Amali 24 last year with Austrian Space Forum. And of course, you are right, one of the biggest challenges during our mission was the food, besides of construction, etc. And we had a lot of issues with the food supplier chain, for astronaut, for support team, ground support team, and we are also part of WBA as an independent habitat, Armash habitat, and we have decided to have it out of the scope of the mission, the food.
Mm-hmm.
So we are separated, Cosmo Food Company, who is leading by Hovannes Avakian, and we decided the food will not be part of the mission. So, in short, one headache less for the mission, and we will concentrate only for the mission and the experiments.
Mm-hmm.
So, it will be very useful for us to have your advice because you are 20 years in this. Is it correct decision from our side to separate the food? So initially we make all requirements, what we need, and give it to them.
Mm-hmm.
Ask, please provide the food, and we will not think about it anymore.
I mean, it's a good approach. It's essentially what we do for our crews. We used to have a food study that was very rigorous, that was led by NASA, led by Gene Hunter out of Cornell, and we tracked what each crew member ate and all their calories and stuff like that. And it was rigorous, and it took a lot of resources and a lot of crew. It was hard for some crews to do. What we've shifted to in recent years is just we provide each crew with the same set of shelf-stable food. They're allowed to bring with them whatever they want. Like I remember on my crew 2 years ago, I told everyone, write down everything you absolutely need to have for the next 2 weeks, including what food you want to eat. And I'll make sure we have it. It's up to the crews at our station. It's up to the crews like what they want to allow in terms of a simulation. Obviously on Mars, you're not going to have a ton of like fresh eggs and things like that unless you have chickens going, right? But you know, we assumed that we would have salad greens and things like that we could reasonably grow in a greenhouse. So we brought that with us. And I mean, I did a mission for 2 weeks with 6 other professionals. We were very comfortable. I mean, we were trying to outdo each other with cuisine. We were making crepes, and I was making jambalaya for the French folks, trying to get them to like Cajun cuisine. So there's a lot you can do, but I think it does require a little bit of planning up ahead of time and a little bit of culinary ability. Like there's some crews we have that are all students that like nobody knows how to cook. So they have some challenges, you know. But in general, unless you're specifically doing an experiment, then yeah, it should be kind of in the background, you know. But also it's also a morale thing. You know, you want, and that's why for me, I wanted my crew to tell me what they needed, because I didn't want to have some morale issue. But also when people have what they like to eat, it improves their morale too. So, I guess in some ways it is in the background, but it also is something that you should at least explicitly have a conversation about before the mission.
Just to outsource this to professionals, not for us. They are also part of the team, but totally independent, and they are professional nutrition specialists, food specialists, everything. But it's out of our scope. So the main
Right.
Because a lot of people are calling, we don't have food
Sure.
is late. This is.
Yeah, it's a good approach to keep it out of scope of the main science agenda that you're trying to do. I agree with that.
And to focus on experiments.
Correct. Yeah, that's a good approach. Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
of course. Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about the Mars Ambassador program that you have, and is there a big sign up or supply, and what do those people end up doing for outreach?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a pretty informal process. You just contact us about it. Ashton Zeth is the current program lead for the Mars Ambassador program. She also hosts our Red Planet Live podcast. You can just reach out to me. I can connect you. And, you know, we essentially do a quick interview with the candidate. The commitment is to do 3 events a year where you go out and talk about Mars or whatever you're talking about. We provide materials, we provide sample presentations, and I mean, people have been doing this in the Mars Society since we started, so we have a long track record of this and a large set of materials people can use, but it's really up to them how they want to approach it. And yeah, essentially it's raising public awareness about Mars to communities that aren't aware of it, like, you know, Rotary clubs and, you know, robotics clubs in colleges, things like that. You know, we try to get our ambassadors in front of people that aren't aware of the Mars Society. But yeah, if any of you are interested, please reach out and I'll connect you with Ashton. Any other questions? Yes.
Kind of a similar question to that. Can you speak real briefly, like on the Mars Society chapter, what that looks like if somebody's wanting to set up an analog in, say, like I have a friend, she's from Nepal, and she has an interest in some time.
Yeah, so absolutely. So chapters are, you know, we have, as I mentioned, chapters in 45 countries. Each chapter is essentially an independent nonprofit that's aligned with us. We ask them to adopt our creed of settling Mars and our founding declaration, and in return they get to use the Mars Society branding and our logo and say they're the Mars Society of Nepal or whatever. But it's up to each chapter what they actually do with that. So chapters in the US, we have a chapter in San Francisco that refurbishes all of our suits at MDRS every summer. A bunch of volunteers get together and work on the suits, and then we deliver them to the station in September, and they're used all field season. We have a chapter in Chicago. In fact, Kent Nebergall is down in the lower habitat right now talking about their project, which is EVA Link. They built a whole system using low-cost radios, open source hardware radios, that will allow our folks on EVA to stay in situational awareness with each other, transmit data with each other, and you can, back in the habitat, the folks that are watching for safety what the EVA is doing, they can see on a map where everyone is in real time, which is fantastic for our environment out there because we often lose radio comms as soon as people go north on the main road. And so if they're doing a 5-click EVA, we could see that where they are exactly on the map now with EVA Link. So it's a fantastic technology. That was all developed by our Chicago chapter. So it's really up to each chapter what they want to do. Some chapters just go do events in their local community. Some chapters try to work on an analog project together. But yeah, it's, again, if you want to start a chapter, just reach out to us. It's pretty informal. We have a couple documents that we can send over, and then like my advice to anyone in another country trying to start an analog is first try to get some support from the government or the country's space agency. Try to get some support from them first, and because you're gonna need probably at least $100,000 or more to build an analog station. So like you kind of need to have a plan for that to really be serious to have it be a serious project. So.
We have time for one more quick question.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Samantha.
So is there like any other way we can support you guys? Just like donations and stuff? Or?
We take donations, yes. The main ways that the Mars Society has been sustained is through memberships and donations over the years and crew fees. Those are the big three for us. We don't have any federal funding, so we're not affected by all the stuff going on in DC right now. We want to aspire to getting big grants from NASA, NSF, HHS, all those, but we currently don't. And so, yeah, we are sustained by donations, we're sustained by our memberships, and then these crowdfunding campaigns we do. And we've been pretty successful at these. This is the fourth one I've managed in the last few years. And the last two we raised 100,000 on. And this one, our goal is 250. We're gonna let this keep running for a few months. We really haven't started with mainstream outreach on this yet. This 11,000, and it's actually 21 because we've gotten some money outside of this app. This just represents the core of our community. We're gonna really ramp up ads and mainstream outreach on this soon, and so I'm confident we're gonna hit that number this year. So.
This is annual goal? Or
I'm sorry?
the goal is annual?
This is a one-off campaign specifically for MDRS. We did a similar one like this last year for the Mars Technology Institute. So, and we did one a couple years back for the VR project. So, but basically this is to sustain MDRS, to give us some needed upgrades to the power system, vehicles, and just make sure that we have, what we need to keep going on this. So.
Are you also accepting in-kind contribution?
Absolutely. In fact, that's how we've sustained MDRS for all this time is having volunteers come help us with work crews.
Some suppliers or something.
Correct. Yeah.
Do we have a list of what we need?
Yes, you can. You and I could talk, and Sergey, stand up for a second, Sergey. Our director, Sergey Yakimov's in the back row there. I work closely with him, so we can talk to you about our needs. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, James.
Thanks a lot.